A relationship with the right referral partner could be a game changer for any B2B company. So what if you could reverse engineer these relationships at a moment's notice? Start a podcast, invite potential referral partners to be guests on your show, and grow your referral network faster than ever. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with Dennis Carlson live at Revenue Summit in San Francisco. Dennis is the founder of Agency Leverage. Dennis, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, James.
I'm really stoked to chat with you. You commented on a LinkedIn status of mine yesterday and mentioned that you were going to be here. So we connected this afternoon and been hanging out the entire event. Dennis, we're going to be talking the rest of this episode about your 3 takeaways from Revenue Summit today. Before we dive into that, though, I'd love for listeners to just understand a little bit of context what you do. I'm really intrigued by just the niche that you've chosen to go after. Tell our listeners a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. So I run Agency Leverage, and we do marketing automation for commercial insurance agencies and benefits brokers. So those are people who sell insurance and employee benefit packages, strictly B2B.
Love it. I love it. So as we were talking at dinner, just through like what some of your key takeaways were from the event today, the first one that you mentioned was a talk that John Barrows and Morgan J. Ingram did, talking about triggers, looking for triggers for your buyers. Talk to us about that. What stood out? Why was it an intriguing talk for you?
Yeah, no, I thought it was really interesting. Just this idea that your prospective clients have these certain trigger events that their organizations are going through that would be a reason for them to purchase your product. So in the case of my clients who maybe are selling an employee benefits package or HR technology services, maybe they see that on LinkedIn that the company is hiring a number of folks that they weren't before. Maybe you've got a 50 person company that all of a sudden is hiring 10 new people. There's an opportunity there probably to adjust their benefits package and to have that conversation. So triggers like that, really something that I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about, but that data is easily accessible now. So checking into LinkedIn and other resources to see kind of what's going on within an organization that might be an opportunity to have a conversation that you otherwise wouldn't have.
For several years now, I've been using a graphic design service called Kappa 99. You've probably heard me talk about them on the show before because it's one of the best investments we've ever made in our business. For just $399 a month, you can get unlimited graphic design. Seriously, it really is unlimited. You can have them design your infographics, case studies, and all of your blog posts and social media graphics. They even do t-shirt designs, email signatures, and book layouts. So head over to b2bgrowthshow.com/design and sign up for their 15-day free trial. That's b2bgrowthshow.com/design. You're going to love it. All right, let's get back to this interview. So this second one, there's a guy named Eric Sue. He runs a podcast with Neil Patel called Marketing School and another podcast called Growth Everywhere. And we were sitting next to each other for this talk, and he kind of came out of the gate talking about podcasting, which you kind of nudged me and were like, hey, are you paying this guy to talk? Telling everybody in the room that they should have a podcast, which I loved. But he also talked about SEO later in his talk. And he kind of boiled it down to a really simple definition of, what is SEO? Why did that stand out to you?
Right. So when you think about SEO, there's so many directions you can go. There's if you Google SEO, the amount of resources are just incredible. But a lot of the clients I deal with aren't really doing any SEO in their organizations. It's not something that the owner of an insurance agency is spending a lot of time thinking about. So when he broke down in his talk SEO into really just two factors, which were content and links, it really got me thinking about a simple way to help my clients understand SEO in just providing valuable, relevant content, and then linking to high authority domains, and high authority domains are, anything of really of value on the internet. Any website that you would normally go to is probably a high value domain. So thinking about SEO just in those two terms, I feel like can really help break down some of the barriers that people have to thinking this is something that they can't attain, something that's not achievable, either on a small budget or with no marketing staff.
I love it. I think just that I know that there's a lot of folks listening to this trying to figure out how do we simplify, like, I'm into this marketing stuff, but my clients aren't necessarily as tuned into it. So how do I articulate things in a way that my clients will understand it? And that, to me, like you said, is a perfect example of that. Like, you and I understand SEO much more than the average person, but most of the folks that we sell to, not in my case, because I'm selling to marketers, but in who you're selling to, it makes perfect sense that you don't think about SEO. They're thinking about insurance and all the other problems that come along with that. But I did like Eric's definition of, it all boils down to content and links. Right. And if you can create great content and you can get authoritative websites to link to it, you're doing SEO well, better than the lion's share of people trying to produce content online. The third thing we're going to talk about, again, going back to Eric Sue's talk, the ROI of podcasts. Now, you and I kind of throughout the day have been talking about podcasting and the different benefits and stuff, but what stood out to you whenever Eric started talking about the ROI of podcasts?
I think my comment to you when we were chatting about this was you'd actually have to prove to me that there is an ROI in podcasts. And I'm not just saying that because we're here talking to each other. I really believe that if you can get conversation with somebody that would be a potential client, and you can do that on a repeatable basis, even just having something a project that you're working on together with somebody that would be a prospective client, is going to produce better results than a cold call or even a cold meeting that someone begrudgingly gave you. So this idea that you're actually going to highlight somebody's organization, the work that they do, and in turn have this relationship that you build with them seems like automatic ROI. And from a previous life, I've done some of this, doing interviews with folks on blogs, people that I wouldn't have had access to otherwise, and I saw the results of it. So I'm a firm believer in it.
Yeah, I mean, even during John and Morgan's talk, we closed a deal with a podcast guest that I interviewed 6 days ago. That I got an email from her. Hey, James, we're going to move forward with the $1,500 a month package, and so we're now going to be it just works. And I'm seeing it a lot from the guest, like the relationship from host with guest. Eric's talk was more talking about in terms of listenership and seeing the progression of how his show has grown from an audience perspective. You and I are meeting because you listen to this show.
That's right.
And there's going to be we're going to be friends for a long time now.
Right.
And the ancillary business benefit that comes off of that, I think, is really cool. But I just so both from I feel like Eric talked more about audience building, which is certainly a piece of it, but offline, like kind of outside of the talk, you and I were talking more about, what are some there's just real tangible benefit.
If you want to talk marketing attribution, I feel like when you're talking about a podcast and you want to talk about marketing attribution, that direct line to a sales rep sitting with a prospective client and having that conversation, you can directly attribute. I feel like the PR you get, the extra mileage you get for branding and for audience exposure, for awareness level exposure, those are all things that are fantastic, much harder to track in the long run. So again, in my context, for the people that I'm going to be working with, they're going to want to see results pretty quickly. And what better result than I just put you across the table from somebody that you want to have as a client.
Yeah. And we were just talking to another influencer. I won't mention his name. I don't think he'd have a problem with me saying his name, but I won't just in case. And I was asking him how his podcast was going and just asking him, are you guys leveraging it? It's not Gary Vee. I said, are you guys leveraging it for biz dev? And he was like, oh, every single guest that I bring on is, I'm only bringing them on because they're a potential client.
Right.
And it's just I just want more people to be embracing podcasting in this way because it's not going to work forever. You've heard me say this to a lot of people that I've talked to today.
Right.
This is not marketers ruin everything. I'm a marketer, so I'm comfortable saying that. And and this gravy train isn't going to be here forever.
That's right.
But everybody has a podcast. And so take advantage of this stuff now.
Right.
While it's still this novel, unique way to bridge a relationship with somebody that's not, hey, I want to sell my thing.
Right.
And so any other thing that you're taking away today? We've obviously these three, simple definition of SEO, ROI of podcasts, triggers, looking for triggers, anything else that stood out?
One thing that stood out, but it's not necessarily unique to Revenue Summit, but you hear over and over again, is about marketing and sales alignment. That really getting an organization to understand that marketing and sales are inextricably linked, but also have their unique differences, but all should be working towards the same goal. When we talk about revenue goal, those should be carried by marketing and sales, and really helping organizations that don't think in those terms understand that, I think, is something to take to my clients, and I think is a good takeaway from the summit.
Awesome. Dennis, if there's somebody listening, they want to stay connected with you, they want to learn more about Agency Leverage, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Sure. I'm really easy to find. I'm on LinkedIn, Dennis Carlson, agencyleverage.com. Twitter is at Agency Leverage. And DC at Agency Leverage is my email. So I'm really easy to find.
Awesome, Dennis. Thank you so much for your time, man. This has been awesome. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, James.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.